Hello everyone, this is your host Noorish Khan, and Zimbabwe have officially managed to clinch their highly anticipated match against Sri Lanka with 6 wickets. And in a contest that can be regarded as highly anticipated, and a contest that could be regarded as a game of nerves, I'd say. Probably because both the teams have really turned up to be surprisingly well, surprisingly in the sort that not everyone was expecting them to make it this far, both Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe. But not only have both the teams made it this far in the tournament into the Super 8s, if I talk about Zimbabwe, unbeaten, and if I talk about Sri Lanka, they only lost one match. That was today's match against Zimbabwe. So both the teams have really, stepped and played well above the expectations and really toned down all the criticisms that went their way. They took all that positively and really didn't bat an eye to all the outside noise that there was. And they're true examples, both the teams, they are true examples of resilience. And of course, it was not such a good day at the field for Sri Lankan fans, for Sri Lankan team. And we're going to break it down tactically, and we're going to analyze it step by step what really went wrong. So, if I talk about Sri Lanka a bit, so the match was played at Colombo, of course, a home condition, another day match at Colombo, and I feel like today Sri Lanka were not really in their groove, and of course you could really really not overlook the element that many Sri Lankan players are at the hem of injuries. A lot of them, so they have been replaced. Many of them have been replaced with other players due to injuries. And baby Malinga Pathurana was also the victim of one such injury in the sort, and as a result, he did not play today's match for Sri Lanka, and of course, that really had an impact. But then, I wouldn't really credit that, to be honest, because Sri Lanka already came into the tournament without Hasaranga, who is of course one of their key bowlers, plays a pivotal role in the bowling attack for Sri Lanka. So, despite not having him in the main squad, they still performed really well above the expectations. So you can't really credit them. I mean, yes, it does play a role when your main players are being substituted out of the squad, primarily because of injuries. And we also what it did to Australia this World Cup, when most of their players were ruled out due to injuries. And but for Australia, it's a different feat. They have never fully utilized Steve Smith, and they always fail to utilize Steve Smith right when it's needed the most. So, I mean, that's a different feat for Australia altogether. For Sri Lanka, I think they didn't really take some smart decisions at the toss, and that's very unlikely of Dasun Chanaka, to be honest. When you're playing a day game at Colombo, you know the conditions pretty well, and you know your strengths pretty well as well. So Sri Lanka, throughout throughout all the group matches that it has played, it has mostly won batting second. That means chasing. They've won mostly. Most of the matches have been won with them, chasing. So I mean, I was all over the place when I found that they have won the toss and decided to bat first in Colombo, conditions that are probably not that suitable for you to and to defend. So I, and especially considering Patharana was not in the squad, you were already missing one of your key players, some of your key bowlers, due to who have been at the hem of some injuries, and as a result they've been ruled out with the squad. So you wouldn't want to take that decision. But I think this was the decision that really cost them today's match, if I talk about the Sri Lankan side. Because if they would have chosen to bowl first in today's match, I think it could have made a difference. Because Sri Lanka, if I talk about the match against Australia, they bowled first, and we all saw how well their bowlers turned up to be, and of course their batters had enough to chase down as well. So Sri Lanka are always good while chasing. So choosing to bat first already was that one of the first nails in the coffin for Team Sri Lanka. So it was not such a good day at the field, but I'm pretty sure the kind of captain that Dasun Chanaka is, the kind of a resilient squad that Sri Lanka is. They're going to go down to to their dressing room. They're going to huddle up, re-huddle up, and regroup, and really have a deep thought, a deep ponder over all their strengths, all their weaknesses, and they're going to come back stronger. That is something that I expect them to. Now, this was it from Sri Lanka. If I talk from the perspective of Zimbabwe, they've been truly amazing. I know this win is really, I'd say, And this one is special for so many reasons. Let me just take you to a little trip down the memory lane. Let's rewind a bit, and let's go back to the 2019 World Cup when Zimbabwe, they were. I still remember the time when they were, struggling to get sponsors to financially support them during the T20 World Cup 2020, during the 2019 Cricket World Cup. And if I still remember that, and then I look at them, and then I look at where they are standing now. So they truly have come a long way, and you got to credit to Sikandar Raza for his exceptional captaincy, the way he stepped up, with the bat and with the captaincy, like Sikandar Raza and Blessing Muzrabani. Although the thing with Team Zimbabwe is that they have, always won with team effort. So they're not very over dependent on 2 to 3 players, and I think that's a positive in the Sri Lankan side. One of the positives in the Sri Lankan side as well, and it really shows the results. They really show on on for both the teams. The results really show when you go into a match, playing as a team. The results really show, and it really showed from the perspective of Zimbabwe as well, who have always won matches as a team effort. And teams, you win as a team, you lose as a team. There's no in between, and I think Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka both have taken it very seriously, and the results show. So Zimbabwe, they outclassed Australia, they outclassed Sri Lanka, and one of their games was was washed out, and now they're into the Super 8s. And so, I mean, they are proving to be not such an easy target, not such an easy opponent for the other teams as well. So India and South Africa better look out for Zimbabwe. And honestly, at this point, I don't think it will be an upset anymore. And I want to clarify another thing here, because I don't know, although it's pretty basic, but for some reason people tend to get it all wrong. Zimbabwe is not an associate nation, it's a full member nation, and there's a difference that you gotta really comprehend, and it's pretty basic. So it's kind of embarrassing when people come and they call Zimbabwe an associate nation when it clearly isn't. So kind of I just wanted to make a slight correction there. Now coming back to the game, Zimbabwe, they were they were really amazing in the first innings. Their bowlers, Blessing Ramani, back 3 wickets, and I wanna present an analogy here that I personally have come up with, analyzing and looking clearly at Zimbabwe, at Zimbabwe's matches. So Zimbabwe, well, what I saw is the uncanny resemblance between the bowlers from Zimbabwe, and the bowlers from West Indies. Both the West Indian and the Zimbabwean bowlers, they have a lot of similarities. If I talk about Blessing Muzrabani, to be more specific, he has two things to his advantage. Number one is his height, which of course is built in. The second thing is how well he does his homework and utilizes the pitch, and he really incorporates that versatility that's needed. He rather prefers to bowl away from the stumps, so that it really really troubles the batter, and he relies a bit more, slightly more, on the extra bounce there. And same is the case with the West Indian bowlers. I mean, if you take a good look at them, their strength lies, especially their pacers, the strength lies in the short pitch deliveries, back of the line deliveries, and the bouncers. That most of the time, in 90% of the case scenarios, these are pretty much the keys that really gets the West Indian bowlers their wickets. So I think Blessing Muzrabani, now it can be just an innocent association, or it may not be linked to that, but I do see an uncanny resemblance here that I wanted to just present as a note here before proceeding, of course. So I mean, of course, Zimbabwe, they've done their homework really well. Sikandar Raza, the incredible man, this incredible skipper of Team Zimbabwe, he's well and truly stepped up with the captaincy and made sure that Zimbabwe really proves everyone wrong. And so they only gotta give themselves the credit. And as for Sri Lanka, there is a lot that needs to be pondered upon. And honestly, the dark phases that they've faced in terms of cricket for the past 2 to 3 years, no one, especially the Sri Lankan fans, they wouldn't want a repeat of that, of course, because finally things are starting to get better for them in terms of cricket, and they well and truly have the potential to make it to the semis. But there are a few things that Sri Lankan batters need to keep in mind. The first thing is they do not need to hurry, especially in conditions like Colombo. And even before that, the primary thing is to make the right decisions at the toss. So making the right decisions at the toss really sets the tone for a win. If you are of course, any team would want to target a win, so really it does set the tone there. And as for Zimbabwe, absolutely mind-blowing win, won by 6 wickets. It's a heavy margin, especially when you're playing against a team as strong as that of Sri Lanka. So well, that was it, the most anticipated news from today, and they've truly shocked the entire cricketing world, Zimbabwe. And I do see that the seeds being sown for future cricketing teams for from Zimbabwe to, I mean, Zimbabwe on a very serious, I've met people from Zimbabwe. They're very passionate about cricket, especially people who kind of immigrate from Pakistan and India to there. They're very they're very humble people. They're really very passionate about cricket, and they really are very patriotic as well. So, and above all, they're very resilient, and these are kind of the similar factors between Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka as well. So I think it was a good contest, and I think Sri Lanka need to ponder a bit on the weaknesses from today. But I have no doubt that I do not have any doubt in the fact that they're gonna bounce back stronger, Team Sri Lanka. And that was it from the video today. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and refer to MSN for Master Sports Network. That is your daily go-to platform for all the cricketing updates. Till next time, this is your host Noorish Khan signing off. See you.